Well, glad that you guys are here this morning. And we are in the middle of a series called Stuck Together. And this is week 2. So does anybody remember what we talked about last week? What is this series about? Family. Somebody said it. Yes. It's about family. It's about the people that you're stuck together with in real life, right? And these are people that you live with, that you can't get away from, that you wake up every morning and they're there. You go to bed at night and they're there. And sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not. And so how are we last week, what we talked about was the best way that we can be an influence and impact our families is to love. Because in the book of John, as Jesus was getting ready to die on the cross and he was in the Last Supper with his disciples, he said, people will know that you are my disciples by your love for one another. Now, as we talked about last week, sometimes the hardest people to love in life are your family, because they know the real you. You can't fake them out very well. They know the real you. They know what buttons to push to make you angry, right? I told how last week me and my brothers constantly fought over video games because mostly I would cheat. I would screen peek. You know, you're not allowed to screen peek when you're playing like shooter games. Well, I would screen peek all the time. It's where you look at you're playing split screen, and I would watch his screen after he died to see where he would show up so I would know where to go to kill him again. Right? That's called screen peeking. You're not technically supposed to do that, but I would get a sniper rifle and wait up in the little bungalow in Kashyyyk in Battlefront and just wait for him to respawn somewhere on the beach and then snipe him again, and then he would scream and hit me and throw the controller and run out of the room. So I was not a very good big brother, and then I'm pretty sure he could play circles around me nowadays. But when we're with family, when we're stuck together with people that we live with, that we go throughout life with, that require maybe some extra patience on our part, maybe people who annoy us, we have to learn how we're going to love like Jesus with those people. Because if we can learn to do it with those people, we can do it with anybody. And so I remember growing up, the video games were a huge deal with my family. We would constantly fight over those. And honestly, personality-wise, me and my brothers didn't really jive a whole lot. We got a lot of different personalities going on. And so we were never close growing up. Obviously, we were close because we were family, but we weren't best friends close, right? We each had our kind of own friends and all that kind of stuff. And the age gap was a little bit bigger, especially when we were younger with my brothers. But I remember when I had to sit down with my mom and ask her, why do I have 2 grandpas from the same side? And I remember asking why do I have one set of grandparents for dad's side and then 2 sets of grandparents for your side? And she had to tell me the story about how her parents got divorced when she was younger and the ripple effects that had, and it affected our family all growing up. It made our family look incredibly different than it would have otherwise. But one of the positives were I had a whole family of cousins that I wouldn't have had that never happened. And so it's cool to see how God redeems every situation through my own family. But no family's perfect. No family has all the answers. No family gets it all right all the time. No family is perfect. Some of you, maybe there's just a lot of tension in your home. Maybe you feel the tension because of the video games. Maybe you feel the tension for some other deeper reasons. But every family has tension. Some families just have it more outward, and some families have it more as an inward tension that you don't really see all the time. So some of you, you've discovered some things about your family that you didn't know and didn't want to know. Maybe there were secrets about relationships or finances or just legal problems, bad decisions that have hurt other people, and you found out about them. And it really has warped your perspective on your family, and you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I think about my family after discovering these things? Maybe your family's facing some bigger problems. Right? Maybe you're dealing with things like divorce, like remarriage, or a parent that has left or is gone or whatever reason, siblings who are in trouble, and maybe you just have bigger problems to worry about that's going on in your family. Others of you, there's something else more serious. Maybe there's something else that some people know about, but maybe nobody knows about. Stuff like abuse, neglect, stuff that you don't feel comfortable sharing about in a group setting. Stuff that has really shaped the way not only you think about family, but the way you think about God. And so all families have their issues, but you would say your family, you can't even go to about the big things because you don't trust them and you have reason not to. And so we all come from different families with different struggles and different things. And it can be tempting to think that nothing good can come out of our families when we're on kind of the terrible end of that spectrum. But as we're going to read today, that couldn't be further from the truth. God will choose to use and redeem any situation. And I know that's really hard to believe when you're going through a really tough situation, but it's the truth. It's the truth that's been true throughout all of history. It's been the truth that I've seen redeemed in my own family's life. It's the truth that happens on a daily basis in all kinds of families all throughout the world. And it's the truth that we're going to read about in the scripture today. So one thing that I love about the Bible is that it's raw. Like, if somebody were writing a fairy tale to come up with a religion with a bunch of rules for people to follow, then all the heroes of that religion would be flawless and perfect, and then you'd see them in like really good light. But the Bible doesn't like protect us from any of the shady things from some of the characters in the Bible. The characters in the Bible have their own imperfections, their own sets of issues, and the family we're going to discuss today is definitely no exception. So I need a couple volunteers who are really good at standing and looking noble, right? All right. So let's go right there. I saw your hand first, and Luke, you come on up as well. All right. So here's what I want you guys to do. Come on up on stage, and here I'll move this to the middle, and I'll have you guys on either side. So stand right there and right there, and you can face everybody. And I'm going to pretend that I'm Father Abraham, right? And I had a son named. How well do you know your Bible? No? Isaac. There you go. I had a son named Isaac. Now, Isaac, remember, he was the one, if you grew up in Sunday school, you might have heard the story where God told Abraham to go sacrifice Isaac on the altar as a test. And so Abraham went, and in the last minute he said, no, wait, don't do it. That was a test. Here's a ram instead, right? Do you guys remember the story? So I think they made a movie out of it like within the last year, but I never watched it. So that was Isaac. Now, Isaac had two sons. You're going to pretend to be a son today. And those sons were Jacob and Esau. Who wants to be Jacob? Who wants to be Esau? You like the word Esau. So this is Esau. Say hi, Esau. And this is Jacob. And now what you need to know, Esau was the firstborn. Now, Jacob and Esau were twins, but are any of you twins by chance? You know a set of twins? You are a twin or you know twins? You are a twin? Okay. Are you identical or fraternal twins? So fraternal twins. Perfect, because that's exactly like Jacob and Esau. So they look nothing alike. The Bible describes them as they look different, they smelled different. One was hairier than the other. Esau, I'm looking at you. And so these it seems weird, but it's important to the story, I promise. So, like, they were twins, but they looked nothing alike, and Esau was first. So Esau was the firstborn, the oldest, the one that actually in Bible times meant a lot of things. So Esau, you got something called the birthright, right? So I'm going to say that your birthright is like, there you go. You got the birthright, all right? And this was a big deal, right? You would be in charge of the family money and property, hence the crown, because you're kind of like king of the family, right? So you'd be in charge of all those things. You'd manage all those things. And the second thing that's important is that you were going to receive the family blessing as the firstborn, which means that you got all the moolah. Like, there you go. Now, mine doesn't represent nearly as much moolah as Esau would have actually gotten, but pretend those are like all hundreds, right? Those are Benjamins right there. Now, you got those things for being the firstborn, right? So you didn't earn it, you didn't do anything for it, but you came out first, so you get those responsibilities. And they are responsibilities. They're not just gifts. They're responsibilities that you have to manage well for the sake of your family name. You think you can handle that, Esau? Well, actually, you don't. Because in the story, what happens is Jacob, obviously jealous of Esau. Yeah, what's up? He goes, Esau was one who was out in the field. He would do the hunting, manly stuff, right? Say, I'm a man. Yeah, you're Esau.
Oh, wait, my bad.
Say, I'm a man. There we go. All right. And Jacob, he liked doing more of the housework, like the cooking and sewing and all that good stuff. And so, yeah, who likes pizza? Yeah, there you go. See, exactly. And so, for the sake of the story, Jacob was waiting for the opportunity, and Esau was hungry for some pizza, right? It was actually soup, but we're going to pretend it's pizza because you said pizza. And so Esau comes in from hunting and from working the field, and he goes, man, I'm hungry.
Man, I am very hungry.
And so Jacob goes, well, I've got some fresh baked pizza right out of the oven.
Yeah. Here's pizza.
But you know what? It's going to cost you.
It's extra invisible.
It's extra invisible. And it's going to cost you. I know you're hungry and you can have this pizza that I made, but it's going to cost you your birthright. And you said, yeah, okay.
Why would I say that?
Because you were hungry, okay? So you agree. You give her the pizza. We're going to pretend it's soup, the invisible pizza. There you go. Now eat up. Enjoy that. It cost you your birthright. Now Jacob swindles Esau out of his birthright. And Jacob's like, ha-ha. Love it when a plan comes together. She does still have the money. We'll get to that. So here's the thing you also need to know. Who wants to be their mom? All the boys raise their hands. Right there, yes. Yeah, all right. All right. Now, Team Mom was actually Team Jacob. So you come over here. Because you taught Jacob everything he knows about all the house stuff and making pizzas. And so you actually preferred Jacob more than Esau. Esau's more of a daddy's boy. And so you two kind of like worked together and were like, you know what? You got the birthright, but I think I can get you the blessing as well, right? Now, Isaac wants to be Isaac. All right, Carter, I saw your hand first. I'm just going for the first hand I saw. Now, you are old and dying, so lay down. You're on your deathbed. And what's going to happen is you're again out in the field doing manly stuff and all that good stuff. And actually, I need your money because this is what you get when your dad dies. That's the firstborn. They get the inheritance after that. But you're not dead yet, so you get to hold on to that for a minute. So you two like put your heads together and plan, and you're like, well, I want you to have the blessing as well as the birthright. So remember I said Esau was hairy because he was a manly man, right? And so you took a lamb or something and put it all over his arms so his arms would be hairy. Now, Isaac's old and feeble and on his deathbed and can't really see. He's practically blind. So she goes, this will work. Trust me. And you go over and Isaac says, quickly, I'm about to die. Let me pass on the blessing. Exactly like that. That's how it sounded in the Bible. So you go over there and you kneel by your father's bed and you're at his deathbed and Esau, you're out in the field, so go in the corner and don't look at anybody. You go in the corner and don't look at anybody because you're out in the field. All right. And Mom, you're just kind of in the background, just like, right? So, all right. Now, you come over, and Isaac goes, now, I'm going to give you the family blessing. And he knew something was off, right? He's not completely dead yet, so he goes, wait, are you Esau? And you go, yeah, feel my arms. They're hairy. And he goes, yeah, okay, here you go. So give him the family blessing. Now, right as that was happening, Esau comes in from the field. So Esau comes in, right as Isaac says, here's your family blessing. And Esau goes, what? No!
What? No!
Exactly like that. All right, and that's where we're going to pick up the story. So everybody give them a round of applause. Now, one more thing. Isaac and Mom, you can go to your seats. Now, you come in, and here's what happened. Is that Jacob swindled the blessing, and Esau goes, I'm going to kill you.
I'm going to kill you.
And you run away. Actually, wait, give me that. Run away. All right, and now you can give them a round of applause, and you go have your seats. There you go. Yeah, we're going to end on a cliffhanger, so you can go have a seat. All right, so no, you may not have the sword. So let's read what happens, okay? So strangely enough, you thought your family was messed up. That worked. And here's what happened. In Genesis chapter 27, it says, when Esau heard his father's words, this was him giving him the blessing, right? He burst out with a loud and bitter cry and said to his father, bless me. Me too, father. This is actually really sad. But he said, your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing, right? Yeah, and that's what you just saw played out so wonderfully by our cast and crew here. All right, and then Esau said, isn't he rightly named Jacob? Right? This is the second time he's taken advantage of me. He took my birthright, and now he's taken my blessing. Then he said, haven't you reserved any blessing for me? It's a fair question, right? But Isaac answered Esau, I have made him lord over you and have made all his relatives his servants, and I have sustained him with grain and new wine. So what can I possibly do for you, my son? And Esau said to his father, do you have only one blessing, my father? Bless me too. Then Esau wept aloud. Pretty sad, right? Right? It was incredibly sad. And so obviously the conversation got heated, and Esau's weeping turned to anger and brought out the sword and said, I'm going to kill you. Yes. Exactly like that. Exactly like that. And so Jacob's mom goes, actually, Jacob, you better run because he's a manly man and he'll kill you. So get out of here. So Jacob runs, and the family is fractured. It's divided. In fact, it goes decades. How many of you guys can imagine going decades without seeing your family because of an argument, because of a fight? Yeah, some of you can. Right? Some of you, you're like, decades? That's like, I'm not even a decade old, right? Some of you, I guess some of you are exactly a decade old because we got some fifth graders in here. So, all right. So let's zone back in here for a minute. So imagine with me, this family's messed up, and they split up. Now, fun fact, they do actually like resolve things later, and Jacob apologizes and Esau accepts, and they work out decades later. But it fractured the family. Obviously, this was a big deal. And back in that time, once you bestow the birthright, there is no taking it back. There is no, and it was an act of faith, because the promise that God gave to Abraham was that I'm going to bless the nations through you. Your whole family will be a blessing, and they will be as numerous as the stars in the sky and the sand and the seashore. And Abraham had faith, which was passed to Isaac, who also had faith that whatever transpires, I know that God is going to use it. And so he had this kind of faith. And their family didn't have to be perfect for God to use them to fulfill his promise. And so this family, they're a part of the story. They're kind of near the beginning of the story because they're the grandsons of Abraham. But you fast forward into the New Testament all the way to the book of Hebrews, and instead of it being all about their, think about how terrible Esau and Jacob's, feud was. Instead of any of that, this is what it says. It says in Hebrews chapter 11, it says, by faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau in regard to their future. Wait a minute. Isaac blessed who? Jacob and? Is that what we just read? No. See, we read it, and Esau did not get the birthright or the blessing. But the author of Hebrews recalls that and says, actually, he was still blessed. It just wasn't in the form that he wanted of his birthright or the family inheritance. But that's not to say he wasn't blessed. And God still used them. And God still fulfilled his purposes through them. In fact, they're an example all throughout the rest of, and even Jesus teaches us that the younger will become Lord, and the older will be submissive to him. The point being, God will use anybody, regardless of their birth order, regardless of where they're born or what family they're born in or what country they're in. God is going to use his people for his purposes. And so it's best if we just submit to them. Because God even used Pharaoh for his purposes, but Pharaoh did not submit, and it didn't work out well for him. God's going to use us for his purposes. So, I don't know about you, but I'd rather be on his good side being used for his purposes than his bad side being used for his purposes, because he's going to use it no matter what. And the author of Hebrews recalls the story of Isaac and Jacob and Esau and says, actually, it was by faith Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau in regard to their future. And we see how God uses their story all throughout the rest of Scripture and throughout history. And the point is simply this, that your family doesn't have to be perfect for God to use it. So, if you're going to take this home this week and apply this to your life, there's 3 things I want you to do. 1, choose to believe that God is working, right? For some of you, maybe you don't have any family drama right now. For some of you, maybe you've never known a time where your family didn't have some drama going on, right? But you can choose to believe that God is working in the midst of it. In the midst of terrible situations even, God uses all people for his purposes, and you don't have to be perfect for it. You can be a part of this blessing. And God will use it. So choose to believe that he is working. Secondly, one way you can choose to believe that God is working is to look for the good that God is doing in your family. Look for the good that God is doing in your family. Some of you, you're going to have to look really hard for that, to see the good that God is doing in your family. Maybe the good for you is simply that it's refining you to be resilient and to learn and how to depend only on God, because your family is something you can't depend on. For others of you, maybe looking for the good in your family is learning that, you know what, even though you might be different from your siblings, you still have a lot to learn from each other, and they are teaching you about yourself and how you respond to people that annoy you. Right? So, look for the good in your family. I promise you, you got some options to choose from there. And 3, stay connected to your family. Sometimes it might feel easier to avoid or to kind of push away, but try to stay connected. When you're going through arguments, when you're going through tough times, when you're going through times where somebody maybe has hurt you in your family, sometimes the godliest thing that you can do is to stay connected when everything else is telling you not to. Now, some of you, I understand that's just simply not possible to stay connected to your family. Maybe your family really is unsafe and you shouldn't be connected to them. Right? For you, look for somebody that is like family to you and stay connected with them. Stay connected to your family. Remember, your family doesn't have to be perfect for God to use it. And again, my own family's tree, all throughout history, all throughout Scripture, God has proven that to be true time and time again. So when you're stuck together with people that you didn't choose, that this is just life, how do we show that we are Jesus' disciples, that we are his followers in the way that we love even those people that we're stuck together with? How does that look for your life? That's what I want to leave you guys with. And as you go to your small groups to finish this discussion, what's one great thing that you hope God will do in your family? What's one great thing you hope God will do in your family? I want you to think about that question. I'm going to pray. We'll go to your small groups, and you'll finish this conversation.